Breaking news. New Archer 155 on HX2 Howitzer boosts NATO firepower. It is Monday, February 2, 2026, and believe me, the landscape of Northern European defense has just shifted.
And before we get started, if you believe in supporting the defense of Ukraine and the security of Europe, we do have a quick request.
Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports.
It really does help us keep doing what we're doing.
I'm Alex. Join me with Arya in the latest podcast by Defense Report for sharp, no-nonsense breakdowns of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we are going to cover, well, it's the official rollout of the first serial Archer 155mm howitzer on the new Rheinmetall MAN 8x8 chassis.
And look, this isn't just a shiny new truck rolling off a factory floor.
No, not at all. This represents a fundamental strategic recalibration for NATO, especially on that eastern flank.
That's right. We've been digging through the procurement contracts from the Swedish FMV, the technical specifications from BAE Bofors, and I think most importantly, the latest field reports coming directly out of the artillery brigades in Ukraine.
To understand what this new machine can actually do.
Exactly. Because this deep dive isn't just about a piece of metal, it's about how Europe is, well, finally answering a call to counter peer-level threats.
We have so much to get through today. We're going to talk about why Sweden decided to kill off its iconic dump truck design, which, let's be honest, everyone loved the look of for this massive German 8x8 beast.
We're also going to get into the weeds on the sniper artillery capability. I mean, the actual mechanics of how this thing fires a full magazine and can literally disappear before the first round even hits the dirt.
And we absolutely have to talk about the industrial revolution happening behind the scenes to keep these guns fed. We're looking at a 16-fold increase in ammunition production?
A 16-fold increase. And a new, maybe even controversial micro-factory concept that 3D prints spare parts inside shipping containers right on the front lines.
That part just sounds like pure science fiction. But apparently, it's happening right now. So let's get into it. We are in February 2026. Set the scene for us. What exactly happened in Sweden last month?
Okay, so in January, just a few weeks ago, BAE Systems Bofors held a major ceremony in Karlskoga. They officially rolled out the first serial production Archer mounted on that RMMV HX2 8x8 chassis.
Serial production is the key phrase there, right?
That's the key word. This isn't a prototype. This isn't some tech demo for an arms fair. This is the fulfillment of that big $500 million contract signed back in September 2023 for 48 new systems.
So the experimental phase is officially over. This is mass adoption.
Exactly. And deliveries are scheduled to run through next year, 2027. But to really get why this rollout is such a big deal, you have to look at what they're replacing. The original Archer, the one that's become so famous from all the videos from Ukraine, it's mounted on a Volvo A30D 6x6.
Right, the rock truck. If you've ever driven past a quarry or a major construction site, you've seen that yellow articulated hauler. It looks weird for a weapon system.
It is weird. And, you know, that design was intentional. It was brilliant for the specific problem Sweden used to have. Right. Sweden was neutral, planning for a defensive war in its own forests and snow. That articulated Volvo could wiggle its way through deep snow, climb over bogs. I mean, it could go places no rigid truck could ever dream of. It was an absolute off-road monster.
But now they've swapped that specialized Swedish hauler for a Rheinmetall MAN HX2. Which is a standard, rigid military 8x8 truck. It looks like every other logistics truck in NATO. So on the surface, that feels like a downgrade in mobility. Why give up that incredible off-road capability?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And you're right to be skeptical. In deep, boggy terrain, the new 8x8 is arguably less capable than the articulated Volvo. But here is the reality check. Logistics wins wars. That Volvo A30D was a commercial mining truck. That means if you are deployed in a coalition in, say, Estonia or Poland, and you blow a transmission or snap an axle, you can't just go to the British or German motor pool and ask for a part.
Ah, I see. You're driving a unicorn. You're waiting for a specific part to be flown in from some civilian supplier in Sweden while the war goes on without you.
Precisely. The MAN HX2, on the other hand, is the standard logistics truck for the UK, Germany, Australia, and Norway. So if a Swedish Archer breaks down in a joint NATO operation, A German mechanic probably has the right wrench, the right diagnostic computer, and the right spare part sitting right there on a shelf.
So they sacrificed some of that extreme niche off-road capability for the ability to actually stay in the fight alongside their allies.
They traded tactical niche mobility for strategic interoperability, and that's everything now. Plus, the specs on the MAN are just better for the kind of war we're seeing. The Volvo topped out at 70 kilometers per hour. The new MAN hits 90. The range is up from 650 kilometers to 800. And when you need to redeploy an entire division from the Baltic coast to the Polish border overnight, that highway speed and range matters a lot more than being able to crawl through a swamp.
It really signifies Sweden moving from neutral defense to frontline NATO contributor. It's putting on the uniform, so to speak.
It is.
But let's be honest, the truck is just the taxi. The reason we're all talking about this is the gun. We keep seeing Ukrainian crews calling this sniper artillery. What makes the Archer so different from a standard M777 or, say, a Paladin?
It all comes down to the Bofor's 155mm L52 gun module, and specifically the automation. In a traditional artillery crew, you have guys outside in the mud, lugging a 100-pound shell, sweating exposed to shrapnel, just trying to load the breech. It is exhausting, dangerous, slow work.
And incredibly dangerous. If a counter battery round lands even 50 meters away, that crew is completely exposed.
With the Archer, the crew of 3 or even just 2 in a pinch, they never leave the armored cabin. The entire process is robotic. There's a magazine on the back that holds 21 rounds. You punch the coordinates into a touchscreen, and a mechanical arm in the back just grabs the shell, loads the charge, and fires.
And I've read that if you really had to, a single person could operate the whole thing.
Technically, yes. One person could drive it into position, switch over to the gunner seat, fire the entire mission, and then drive away. I mean, it wouldn't be efficient, but it's possible. And that level of automation is what drives the shoot and scoot capability.
We hear that term all the time, shoot and scoot. But walk us through the actual timeline. How fast are we really talking?
It is the defining feature for survival in the drone age. I mean, it's not an exaggeration. The Archer can be rolling down a road, stop, deploy its stabilizers, and be ready to fire in under 30 seconds.
Wow.
It fires its mission, it packs up in another 30 seconds.
So practically speaking, let's say I'm a Russian radar operator. I detect the incoming round, I calculate the trajectory, I send the coordinates to my own guns to return fire. By the time my shells land at the Archer's original position,
the Archer is already a kilometer down the road, maybe more. In a modern environment where counter-battery fire happens in under 3 minutes, that speed isn't just a luxury, it is the difference between life and death. If you stay still, you die. The Archer doesn't stay still.
Now, I want to dig into a specific capability that sounds just terrifying. MRSI, multiple round simultaneous impact. The reports say it can make one gun do the work of an entire battery. How does the physics of that even work?
It's all about trajectory management. It's brilliant, really. The computer is smart enough to fire the first round at a very, very steep, high angle, so it takes a long time to travel and then fall.
Okay.
It then fires the next round at a slightly lower angle, and the next one lower still, and so on.
So the first shell has a really long hang time, and the last shell gets there really quickly.
Exactly. It can stack up to 6 rounds so that they all arrive at the target at the exact same second.
That has to be a psychological nightmare for the people on the receiving end. Usually with artillery, you hear that first bang and you dive for cover.
Right. With MRSI, there is no warning. 6 155mm shells just detonate instantly across the target area. The shock effect is devastating. A single Archer can deliver what feels like a battery fire mission and be driving away before the smoke even clears. It can empty its entire 21-round magazine in under 3 minutes.
What a gun is only as good as what it throws, right? We know the standard shells go about 40 kilometers, but the sources are all saying the Archer is optimized for the smart stuff.
And this is where the Western tech advantage really, really shines. It fires the Excalibur round, which is GPS guided. That extends the range out to 50, maybe even 60 kilometers with 2-meter accuracy. You're basically sniping a specific vehicle or a bunker from 2 towns over.
And what about for heavy armor?
For that, it uses the bonus rounds. And these are just fascinating pieces of engineering. You fire the shell over a tank formation. The shell opens up in the air, deploys 2 submunitions. These little submunitions have sensors that scan the ground, find the heat signature of a tank, and then fire an explosively formed penetrator straight down through the roof.
Through the turret roof where the armor is thinnest.
It makes the tank's heavy frontal armor completely irrelevant. And this isn't theoretical. We are seeing this effectiveness in Ukraine right now.
Let's pivot to that because the battlefield is the ultimate testing ground. and Sweden has been incredibly generous with these systems.
They really have. Sweden has transferred a total of 26 Archers to Ukraine. There were 8 initially, and then another 18 after that. And the feedback, well, it's been overwhelmingly positive. The Ukrainian crews are using them specifically for high-value counter-battery missions.
Hunting the hunters.
Exactly. They are taking out Russian D-20 Howitzers and the 2S-19 Mesta systems. Now, the Russian systems are capable, but they're manual or semi-automatic. They are slower to set up and critically slower to leave. The Archer just wins that duel because it is faster.
And I've seen the photos of them wrapped in that special thermal camo.
Barracuda multispectral camouflage? Yeah, it's essential. It masks the heat signature of the vehicle and the gun barrel, making it much, much harder for thermal drones to spot them hiding in the tree lines.
This kind of performance must be driving sales. It feels like everyone suddenly wants this system.
It's the combat-proven stamp of approval. I mean, the UK bought 14 Archers as an interim solution because they'd emptied their own stocks of AS-90s to help Ukraine. They needed something that worked, and worked immediately.
Right.
And just last month, on January 13th, 2026, Latvia approved the acquisition of 18 Archers.
That's a huge deal for Baltic defense.
It's massive. And Latvia and Sweden are creating a joint unit for training. So it cements this idea of a unified Nordic-Baltic defense wall. Switzerland has selected it as well. BAE Bofors is effectively becoming the primary armorer for the Eastern Flank's mobile artillery.
Okay, but here is where I have to play devil's advocate. We can talk about cool trucks and robot guns all day, but for the last 2 years, all we've heard about is the shell hunger. The West ran out of ammo. We couldn't produce enough 155mm shells to keep up with the war. You can have the best gun in the world, but if it goes click instead of bang, it's a paperweight. Are we actually fixing that, or is it just political talk?
No, the shift is real, and the numbers are just staggering. BAE Systems, particularly at their Glasgow facility in the UK, has initiated a program to increase 155mm shell production by 16-fold.
Wait, 16-fold? By the end of this year?
Yeah.
That sounds like corporate PR fluff. How is that physically possible in just a couple of years? You can't just build 16 new factories overnight.
You're right, you can't build the buildings that fast. The bottleneck wasn't just assembly, it was the raw chemistry, specifically nitrocellulose gunpowder. For decades, the West relied on cotton linters to make it, and a huge percentage of that raw cotton came from China.
Which is a strategic nightmare. We were relying on a potential adversary for the main ingredient of our own ammunition.
It was a massive, massive vulnerability. So the breakthrough isn't just working harder. BAE and its partners have switched to synthetic propellants and processing techniques that use things like raw wood pulp and other binders. They have effectively decoupled the explosive supply chain from China.
That's the part that doesn't make the headlines, but it sounds like the most important strategic win here.
It is. They're also using what they call microfactories. So instead of building one massive, vulnerable chemical plant that takes 5 years to permit and construct, they are using these containerized production lines to produce explosives like RDX.
Decentralized production. Much harder to target, much easier to scale up.
And that brings us to the breaking news from January on the maintenance side, which is arguably even more sci-fi. The Swedish FMV, Saab, and BAE. They revealed a field microfactory specifically for the Archer.
I saw the press release for this. It's a 3D printer in a shipping container. But come on, are we really going to 3D print a critical part in the middle of a muddy field in February? Is that actually realistic?
It is a valid concern. And look, you aren't going to print a new gun barrel or a high-stress engine block. The physics of printed metal just aren't there yet for those levels of heat and pressure.
Okay.
But think about what actually grounds a vehicle most of the time. It's a broken bracket, a snapped handle, a unique fitting for a hydraulic line that you can't get anywhere else.
The $5 part that keeps the $5 million system completely useless.
Exactly. This system uses a 6-axis metal 3D printer inside 4 standard shipping containers. It can print parts up to 300 kilograms. So if a supply line is cut, or if that specific bracket is on back order for 6 months, the unit can scan the broken part or just pull the file from a secure database and print a replacement right there in the snow.
That is a logistical miracle if it works. It builds incredible resilience right into the force.
It completely changes the calculation. You don't need to tow the Archer all the way back to Poland or Germany for a minor repair. You fix it forward and you keep it in the fight.
So let's try and synthesize this for everyone listening. We aren't just looking at a new truck. We're looking at a complete ecosystem.
Yeah.
You have the Archer 8x8 2S. It's faster, it's compatible with NATO logistics, and it's lethal with MRSI.
Yep. Then you have a massive industrial surge in ammunition that, crucially, cuts out Chinese materials.
And on top of that, you have forward-deployed 3D printing to keep them all running.
It is a complete package. Europe is rearming, but they're doing it intelligently. They are prioritizing this shoot-and-scoot technology because they know the modern battlefield is transparent. Drones see everything. The Archer is designed to survive that reality.
So what's the so what here? Why should the average listener, maybe someone sitting in Ohio or Manchester, really care about a Swedish truck?
Because this protects the alliance. This isn't just about Swedish defense anymore. This is about standardizing NATO on a system that works in the mud and the snow of Eastern Europe. It's about deterring aggression by showing that we can outshoot, outrange, and outproduce any adversary. It sends a direct message that the support for Ukraine has actually accelerated our own military modernization by about a decade. We are all safer because of the lessons we're learning and applying right now.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've talked about how the Archer is almost completely automated. The crew sits in the cabin, they punch a button, and a robot does all the hard work. We talked about 3D printing parts without a factory.
I think I see where you're going with this.
If you have a gun that loads itself and fires itself, and a factory that prints its own spare parts, how long until the crew of 3 becomes a crew of none? With AI targeting and autonomous driving, could we see unmanned Archers roaming the forests of the north, controlled by an operator in a bunker hundreds of miles away?
That's the logical next step. I mean, the technology is practically there already. If you remove the humans from the vehicle, you remove the casualty risk entirely. It raises huge ethical and tactical questions about autonomous lethality for sure, but looking at this new Archer, the robot is already doing the shooting. It might not be long before it's doing the driving too.
A sobering but also exciting thought. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
And if you found this deep dive valuable, please don't forget, subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.